There. All right, let's move on to more corporate conversations this morning. Brigade Enterprises in focus on the back of their expansion pipeline. The company has partnered with Primus Senior Living to develop 3 senior living communities. They've also launched a residential project in Chennai with a gross development value of more than 1,700 crores. Let's get Pavitra Shankar, Managing Director of Brigade Enterprises, on board to speak about the same. Pavitra, thank you so much for your patience as well. I know we've come to you a few minutes late, so thank you for bearing with us as we've covered all of the elements of the day and what has been happening in the last 24 hours as well. But let me start with what Brigade is doing. And I thought it was very interesting that you are one of the few listed players who's focusing on the senior living market very, very closely. What is the kind of potential that you see there? And tell us a bit more about this tie-up with Primus.
Hi, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me. Yes, we are getting back into the senior living space. We had actually done one project about 10 years ago. It came online in 2017. It was a small project as part of a larger township, but it has done very well. Naturally, over the last decade or so, the demographic shift is only further and further supporting this kind of focus on the senior living market. Today, if you look at the senior living organized space in India today, it's about 2 to 3 billion USD, and that number is supposed to more than triple, almost reach 10 billion by 2030 itself. Even in terms of demographics, the population above 60 years old is supposed to double by 2050 itself. So there's a lot of underlying tailwinds for this sector. It's a sector that's not really been focused on by many large players, organized sector. While it may not have the same kind of momentum as traditional residential in terms of launches and growth and that kind of thing, the longer term requirement is that this need must be served, not just in terms of real estate, but also in terms of the services and operations behind it. It's a pretty complex space. It's part real estate, but predominantly it's about operations, healthcare. There's a hospitality and wellness element to it. And that is why we wanted to do this in a different manner, which is a strategic partnership with operators. The recent announcement was with Primus Senior Living. They've been in the space for a long time. They're really well known, well regarded. They've done many projects themselves in terms of managing, and many projects in which they have done the real estate too. So we're very excited. Since the announcement, naturally, there's been a lot of great feedback, a lot of people reaching out and checking to see when these projects will be launched. So we're looking forward to doing that. We have 3 projects currently that will be launched fairly soon in the next couple of quarters.
What is the pricing like, Pavitra? What is the pricing like, and what is, do you think, the potential to expand beyond the markets you are in already?
So a couple of things there, and I'll address the markets first. First of all, the South Indian markets contribute to more than 60% of the organized senior living space. And that is very much aligned with Brigade's portfolio itself. We are predominantly in South Indian cities. And we felt like this translated very much and could very easily, show the growth within our own portfolio. That said, in terms of pricing, today we are looking at the mid-segment, upper mid-segment, which is not very well served either. So we are looking at smaller units as well. Senior living does well in the 1 to 2 bedroom size units. So we'll be looking anywhere in the 1.5 crores kind of range, which today is again, a very good ticket size in the markets that we're talking about. On an operational basis, there is a slightly higher running cost to these projects. So naturally, the residents would expect to pay a little more than your typical kind of maintenance bills, but there's a lot that comes along with it in terms of healthcare monitoring, activities, wellness-focused, engagement, and so on.
Okay, just to come back on one observation you made, Pavitra, and piqued my curiosity. Why do you think South Indian states have 60% of this market? Is it any reason why it's more prevalent in this space, do you think?
Yeah, I think, tier 2 markets like Coimbatore, a lot of parts of Kerala have already got a very high proportion of senior living. These are some of the markets it's already established in these spaces. I think potentially a lot of the healthcare systems that seem to be pretty well evolved in a lot of these states. So we see it predominantly in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, where there is a lot of existing senior living as well. So I think that's the reason why. That doesn't mean that there isn't opportunity in other parts of the country. Certainly there are. But as of today, it's about 60% of the overall organized senior living space.
Okay. Pavitra, good morning. This is Hiral on this side. So let's understand one aspect of this. Now, this is a segment which is really picking up, and it becomes a part of any real estate company's probably strategy that we're seeing right now, especially for a Brigade. How big a segment is this going to be for a Brigade Enterprises? And two, what is going to be the strategy when it comes to partnerships? Is this going to be mainly in terms of managing partnerships, or is this going to be something more in terms of equity partnerships that you're going to have with partners?
So currently, the three projects that we have spoken about are about 750 crores GDV, gross development value. If we're looking at our current portfolio where we are launching new projects, that's not a large proportion. It's anywhere from 5 to 10% of the GDV that we are looking at launching over the next 4 quarters. But it could become a larger and larger proportion of it. It has very different dynamics, of course, than your traditional residential space. In terms of our current engagement, we are handling the real estate and bringing the real estate to it, and Primus will be managing the properties. So that is the current relationship. But in this space also, like, this is a fairly new thing for us, and I expect the space to be rapidly evolving. So as that goes along, we will see what are the more befitting ways of looking at the space. But currently, this is the strategy we have.
Pavitra, good morning, Neeraj here, and all the best for this. Now, I wonder if companies which are predominantly in the areas where the tech space is there would need adjacencies to come up, because the most common narrative, you've been asked this, I'm sure, 5 times already in the last 10 days, but could a slowdown in IT service jobs, or the growth of them, if you will, impact the demand for real estate? Because I'm sure you have a sense of how much of your total sales in the 3 pockets of growth for you predominantly coming from buyers who are in some fashion connected to the IT service sector.
Yeah, this is definitely a hot topic, and we can spend a lot of time talking about this. What we've seen is that despite all of the net hiring, changes in the traditional IT sector, we've still seen dramatic job growth. We've still seen office space getting absorbed at, record rates in all of our target markets: Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. And it is happening in other spaces as well due to the growth of GCCs. A lot of these jobs have moved from your traditional IT services firms to GCC and gone in-house to a lot of companies as well. So, I would say there's no, panic or reason to really worry about this. This is a long-term situation that will play out and keep evolving. We know recently there are discussions about Anthropic and Infosys doing, partnering together on bringing AI solutions to many companies. So, I think this space is always evolving. There will always be a need to bring technology and AI-led transformation to traditional companies. So there will always be that requirement for IT services, is what we feel. And therefore, we are still very confident about the requirement for real estate, whether it is on the commercial side or on the residential side, which naturally follows from growth in the office space sector. So we're going to see how that evolves and develops. But I'm not negative about the news.
Okay, Pavitra, you may not be negative in terms of the demand, but is there a shift in terms of the residential profiles that must be happening within that space, right? Number one. And two, with the data center explosion that we are seeing on the back of AI, does that become a proxy play for a real estate developer like yours? How are you looking at it? Because high growth asset classes that do come in for developers like yours.
Yeah, so the shift that we saw from IT services to GCC and the quality of the tech services being performed out of India, we've seen that grow over the last few years. And that has been reflected overall, not just in our portfolio, but across the board in terms of the price increase and the absorption of real estate that has happened so dramatically over the last couple of years. Within our own portfolio, the average realization itself has more than doubled since 2022. And a lot of this is based on the capacity and buying power from the customers and people working in the sector. There has been a lot of absorption on the premium residential space, which we're actually starting to see that stabilize a bit, which has also in turn created a gap over the last few years with the lack of focus on, say, mid-segment and affordable housing. So I think there is an opportunity there as well. We are also looking at putting out more mid-segment products, since we feel the premium space has gotten a lot of demand over the last few years and is tending to see some amount of saturation. That doesn't mean these sectors won't grow. It's just the pace at which it has grown over the last few years is probably going to stabilize a little bit. In terms of data centers, again, that is another growing asset class. The real estate piece of it is actually a very minimal piece. The predominant part about setting up data centers is the power and operating the data center again. So it is a space that is interesting, and we're looking at that as well, but nothing to disclose as of now.
Okay, Pavitra, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us this morning. And also talking not just about senior living, but what we're seeing with IT hirings. Perhaps the upper end of IT jobs will remain secure. It is maybe the lower ones which will go, but over time it will have an impact, because the total number of people who are hired and will need houses and will grow into the EMI space reduces.
Yeah.
Reduces, and I think probably the profile of the buyer might see a shift as well. Someone who was looking at a luxury might move slightly lower.
No, but then the GCC guys will come in
as well. So we'll have to wait and watch, I think, how it pans out for all of them.